Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus, and I'm back again. You know, today I want to talk to you on the subject matter, do you love your children? And I choose that subject because I believe that every person that has a child or children love them unconditionally. There are parents who have killed their kids at birth, who have given them away for adoption. All of them, I believe, love their kids unconditionally. What we choose and how we choose to respond sometimes is determined by our psychological standards. But I believe that every one of us love our children. Who amongst you don't have the desire for your children to have the best education they possibly can? Every last one of you do. Every last one of you want your kids to have it a little bit better than you had it. I don't care how good you had it. You want your kids to have it a little bit better. Or how bad you've had it. You want your kids to have it a little bit better. Every last one of you. Now I ask you this. Who amongst you who have children deserve to have your children receive less in life? Not a single one of you. So since every last one of you parents desire to have your kids receive the best that they can to qualify them to experience the best life possible, you should think amongst yourselves, how can everyone's desire be met instead of your way at the expense of others, or vice versa? Every last one of you should think about, how can my child have it? And how can every child have it? Because if you don't think like that, you can bet your last money that somewhere down the line there's going to be a conflict. There's going to be something that's going to go wrong. That's going to cause all kinds of problems for your children. No doubt. Well, this is the kind of things that's happening in the world today. We have nations everywhere that desire to have for themselves and their people the best that life has to offer. Every nation desires that. My question is, why don't nations amongst themselves and together strategize how in the world can my nation be satisfied? Can your nation be satisfied? Because if somebody is dissatisfied, there's going to be a problem down the road. We look at Israel and we look at Iran. They both want the same things for their people, the best life that is humanly possible. Yet we have something that has been going on for centuries, of a threat that someone is going to do this and someone is going to do that, and how do you deter this threat? And you're not actually seeking out how we can both be satisfied. You got one nation with nuclear weapons, and they don't want to have the other nation to have nuclear weapons. One can have nuclear weapons and will not be a threat to the other, but believe that if another has a nuclear weapon, that they would be a threat. And you've got one who says we don't have nuclear weapons, but if we had nuclear weapons, we wouldn't have to worry about somebody else threatening us. You and I both know that a man with bigger muscles in our own societies will sometimes take advantage and exploit the one with weaker muscles. That seems to be like human nature. We have people everywhere who respond to stuff like this, and we have a world that's all divided. We have people everywhere that's suffering, that don't have food, that don't have a way of life that makes it seem like they've advanced at all. They're still living in the dark ages. And then you got one nation who says, if you get in trouble, you who got the nuclear weapons, then we will support you against the nation that does not have nuclear weapons. At a time when in a country like Syria, thousands of people are being wiped out, and no one is doing anything. So what does that sound like to you? I don't know what it sounds like to you, but to me, it sounds like hell. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. You got politicians out here in America today saying they want to be your leader. And they are getting millions and millions of dollars from PAC money and from others just to go out and put up information before you. Something that they want you to believe. And they're giving you information because they know you're divided. They know that you don't know up from down. And they don't know up from down. Otherwise, they would be talking straight, and you could understand. These PAC monies are coming from people who have special interests. Give this money to this particular individual. That individual will support our causes. Why do people have all this extra money? Because they have ripped people off. They have worked people, paid them less than they would do as far as being able to live within a society that has a culture, that has an economy that requires X number of dollars. These people, I don't care how legitimate you think it has been corrupt. They've messed over people. And you have supported it because you are investing in them. Let me get my returns, and you don't care about one another. It doesn't make any sense. When you start thinking about Israel, talking about having a homeland, everybody wants a homeland. So when they go other places to visit, they can go visit, live there if they choose, but they would like to think that there's a homeland they can go back to. But then you talk about Israel, talking about the Bible and what the Bible says. If you do your research, you will find that the Israelites that live in Israel today are not true Israelites. In fact, history would indicate that blacks are the true Israelites. But that's not neither here nor there. Because God, I don't care what the book says or what anybody says, has no special people. What parent amongst you got a special child? The only special child that you have is that one who needs you the most. And you don't love them any more than you love the others. It's just that you have to give them more attention because they need it. Now, look at Israel. Look at black people all over the world. The people that's hated the most everywhere you go. But God isn't showing them any special favors. But we know what it is when somebody says we are God's special people. Black people know better. They have heard white people forever say that they were superior to black people. That black people were at a level equal to animals. And some animals have always been treated better than black people. So that's all about man's imagination. That has nothing to do with God. Now, why do I come to you and say that I can talk to you about God and you should listen? Because God, some of us know God more than others. Most of you know God by what you have heard, by what you have read, and what your imagination will allow you to get. But many of you have never experienced God. If you will go back to the Bible, Hebrew children knew about God. They knew that a Redeemer was going to come, a Savior, somebody to lead them out of bondage. But it is Moses that went up on the hill. And what got his attention? Something special. A burning bush that would not be consumed. If a woman is about to have a husband with a gun to her head and to blow her brains out, and she says, Lord, help me, and all of a sudden something knocks that man to the floor, gun flying across the floor, and that man gets up running, that woman knows she's seen something that has never been seen before. And it gotta be God. If a blind person have somebody come by and lay hands on him, and he can see again, or for the first time, that person knows that there's a God. Or a person that's lame and can't walk have that experience. You can't tell them there's no God. Or a person that's dead, that's been arisen from the dead. You can't tell that person there's no God. If death comes to an individual and say, I've come to get you, and while you're on your path to wherever death takes you, something says go back and will not allow you to die, you know that there is a God. There is something, when I say God, I'm talking about a power that is so magnificent that no human being ever and can today or ever will be able to equal it. So those people who know there is a God has been given special permission to go back and tell those who believe, because a belief can be here today and gone tomorrow. You can believe that the earth is flat today and tomorrow find out that it's round. You can do this. Belief has a chance to maneuver like that. But knowledge, truth doesn't. Truth is forever. Yesterday, today, and forever. Truth does not change. There is a God. And that God that exists loves you. It loves me. It loves Israel. It loves Syria. It loves Iran. It loves Iraq. And let me tell you, if Israel attacks Iran, because of whatever reason they come up with, they deserve to get their butt beat. The people in Syria that are being killed by the thousands should penetrate all throughout that society and make sure that when that war or when that persecution ends, everybody's at the same level. Out in the streets, sleeping in ditches, those who are poor, those who were rich, those who are killing are out there because everything has been destroyed. And they would be each other's comfort. They will learn a lesson. United States invaded Iraq. That was wrong. I don't care what you heard. I don't care what you believed. God knows and is telling us today that that was wrong. Whatever we did to Iraq, nature is doing it all over America, destroying our cities, destroying our towns, and we have to rebuild, just like they had to rebuild in Iraq. But that was caused by Iraq. Now, I know many of you say it has nothing to do with God. Nature has to do with the atmosphere here and there and all that other kind of good stuff, and I won't argue that. But I do know that the God that stopped that man who was about to kill that woman, that God that was able to raise the dead, that God that was able to give the blind sight again, is able to condition nature so that nature can do to bring comfort and peace to a people. So I'm telling you today, ladies and gentlemen, you have an opportunity to change the trajectory that this nation is on. Sure, I'm not talking about cancel out the Republicans. I'm not talking about canceling out the Democrats. I'm talking about canceling out that spirit in you that does not understand brotherhood. That spirit in you that believes in division, that believes that you're superior to others. You are not. And every man, regardless of your color, every woman, regardless of how you might think about other things and sex, gender, stuff like that, the God that put you here on this earth loves you. I don't care if you're gay. The God that put you on this earth loves you. Loves you as much as he loves a straight person. Now, in a situation where you're trying to produce, you're trying to create a society of people, gay people can't do it. But a society that's busting loose, you're trying to kill people because there's too many of you, gay people will help you because they ain't bringing no kids into this world. So I don't know, and I'm not trying to advocate for gay. What I'm trying to say is, gay or straight, God loves you. And if anybody's supposed to do anything to straighten this situation out, let it be God and not you. Your mind is too corrupt. You are led by the spirit of deception. You are led by the spirit of, I don't know what to do. And you should lead it like that and let God. Now, there is a person out here that can be president of the United States if you were deserving. And that's me. Nobody's giving me any money. Why? Because I advocate thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That means that every man, woman, and child in this country, whatever you have decided that's important and necessary to bring you peace and comfort and joy in this life, everybody on this earth in America has the right to choose it or not. If they want it and anybody got it, they got a right to have it. If they don't want it and you got it, they have a right to resist it. And there should be no laws. There should be no persecution on people who decide to make a decision for themselves. God allows us to be free. And as President of the United States of America, I would do likewise. But I know I could never do it unless I'm put in office. And I can never be put in office unless there are people in this country that have changed their minds. Unless there are people in this country who says there is a God, that I am a person, the others are people, and I love God enough to obey God's will. And it is God's will that I respect that which God has made. And I respect it, and I will contribute to life by using those gifts and talents that God has given to me, and I'll give them back to society so that when society decides how it should be used, it can create amongst us a manifestation of all those goods, of all those services that makes us feel complete and joyous in our God. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you something. It's not a Republican or Democrat or otherwise has ever said anything to you that's sweet. And I'm telling you, it's the gospel. Now, you can go ahead on and choose a Republican or a Democrat or somebody else if you are still ignorant, if you still don't know any better. God still loves you. But there's a price to pay for being dumb. There's a price to pay for being ignorant. When you're dumb and ignorant, God will send you someone to enlighten you. But if you're too ignorant and too dumb to receive it, God will let you receive the fruits of your seed. And it hurts. I'm telling you, it hurts. Now, I don't think I should have to say any more to you. Those of you who can think can take this and run with it. And those of you who can't, won't. So I'm going to leave it right there. Bye-bye.